Here we go. We have Aquarius in the first house, Sun, Capricorn ascendant, Jupiter, Saturn conjunct in there. That's good. Sun in the first house, it's in Aquarius, and Mercury in Aquarius. Mercury squares Neptune. So we're curious about Neptune, what Neptune does. Uranus isn't making any aspects to anything, any major aspects. Pluto sextiles, and Neptune has a square to Mercury. Okay, so we're going to start with Uranus. You see Uranus there, it's probably retrograde. Yep, it's retrograde 24 degrees, it's going to back up. And in the backing up, it's probably not going to hit anything. It might, no, I don't think it's going to hit anything. It's too far away from, so it goes long, makes the 133 retrogrades, makes the 130 degrees, 35 degrees aspect to the ascendant in 69. Oh yes, it will change. It will go back and enter the 7th house. So it will retrograde back from the 8th house, shared resources and trusts, kids, family, resources, and go back to the changes within the within relationships. So that what that would, but that's a change going into houses. This is at this point when these changes happen, these are significant in terms of yeah. So I've met people who've done tremendous work on the house cusps and done through it, but I just make a note of it shift into the houses. I don't accentuate the houses more than is necessary when there's so much going on by the signs and the aspects. So right now it's back at 22 degrees of Leo. It's in the hexagon of oppression, exhaustion. This is Uranus disrupting up things. And it's in a sub-theme of 46 is, where are we pushing upward? I'm pushing things upward, but it's, I want to change, make things different, but it's so exhausting, so much to do. And it's in the hexagon of breakthrough resoluteness, of breaking through. She's studied astrology long before and has come back into these classes to top up and to get the progressions and to get these other things. Okay, one of the good things of having the videos is, and you should make copies of them when you can get them. Get the copies of them so you have your copy. Who knows how long the internet and everything's stable, but or free or open. So getting the videos and making a copy on your own computer is worth having. So okay, you got the audio files from being in the class, but getting the videos, these webinars, it's worth doing. If you're in the webinar, you're being sent them, so that's okay. If you're not, you can go online and you can get them from there. So there's a site on YouTube, and there's the forum with the RASA forum, student forum that they're on. So, okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Uranus with the Neptune. She has Neptune square her Mercury. So her Neptune squares her Mercury. It goes forward. It's now obviously, see, Neptune's at 11:11, Mercury's at 11:23, but Neptune's retrograde, so you know it's really close to exact. Neptune's going direct. You think it's going to run into each other. Neptune's up to 11. Here's Neptune 11:12. It's up to 11:19. It doesn't quite get, okay, so here's what a computer program thing gets to 11:19. Doesn't exactly get to the minute of the degree, but it's very close to the Mercury. So this whole time, this Neptune Mercury, Neptune's been affecting her Mercury more and more till 1981, 82. Then it goes retrograde, slowly going retrograde over this whole time period. So that's 61 from 20 on. So from a teenage year, other people were doing thinkings for her. Neptune, what should be done, what shouldn't be done. Neptune was affecting her thinking. It still is, but it's got as tightly as it could be in 81, 82. Well, really from 70, let's say from 77 to you could say up into the early 90s. That's the Neptune was there. It really had the most extreme points around that square. So it's not showing it here because it didn't hit it exactly. Okay, but it's really close to the Mercury, really involved with it. So then it'll go forward, it starts moving away from that. And in this period going forward, she studied astrology with me in the 90s, and went on with her life and that, and a lot of mystical things, and brought up her daughter, had to take care of it on herself, more or less. And now the Neptune comes back to its own position, came back to its own position in 2002. So it's back to her own vision, and it's not as tightly squaring Neptune as Mercury as it was. It's coming back to her own. It retrogrades and it's going back before the setup. So she's going back to figure some other things out. Neptune moves back, and right now it's in Scorpio, Sag Penten, Taurus sub-Penten, and you can see the hexagrams. There's still some opposition to deal with in that hexagram. So it's so there's complications to the story, Neptune to Mercury, but the good thing is steadily as she gets older, it gets further and further away from it, gets to 10 degrees, gets to 9 degrees, which is not to move it out of the aspect, but it takes it 2 degrees away. It won't go back to the midheaven. So there's always going to be some kind of puzzle going on in her life. But who's thinking clearly, what's real, what's not, which way, thinking around talking, communicating. It doesn't mean it's not necessarily there around emotional clarity or actions or doing other things. Okay. So when you see a big aspect like that, you want to see what the progression is moving tighter, closer, or more further away, because it really determines how that aspect plays across a lifetime. Fortunately, she's through the worst of it now. And I think if you asked her, she'd probably be quick to agree, but it's not all solved. That's there too. So with her Pluto's 7 degrees of Virgo, no bad aspects. So let's see what happens. It goes forward, comes up, it'll make it goes up to 7 degrees, and 89, it made 135 to Saturn. There's some confrontation with Father Authority, conjuncted the nodes in 2004. Sextiles to midheaven. So there's no drastic aspects happening. It's degree by degree, it's Penten, sub-Penten, it's the hexagrams within the hexagrams, and those stories which you can tap into at any time. And yeah, so her sun right now, Virgo in 59, is in the, let me just get these, it's in dispersion, dissolution, how to disperse or change the energies. The sub-theme is Scorpio 52, which is doubly keeping still. It's called keeping still, resting or meditating. It's holding steady. And then the sub-theme is a Scorpio sub-theme of 12. That's an hexagram of, it's called standstill, stagnation, or feeling there's an inertia going on. So her Pluto's challenging inertia, but how do I change everything? Can't change everything. So that's just Pluto working through in its own way. Okay. I mean, we're doing one at a time like this, separate from all the other aspects going in. You can't, when you're usually working with a chart, you have all of these things. By the time you get to this, you've done this progress Sun, Mercury, Venus. So you're just seeing a few more things locking in as complexes that would sit there. Okay, sample 10. Here we go. Pluto. Uranus. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So, Sun in the first house, only Libra this time, not Aquarius. We got Uranus at 29 degrees of Leo, so very likely that Uranus is going to move into Virgo, go through that period. We don't have anything critically aligned in Pisces. That's Chiron. We're not using that. It's not critically aligned. It's going to stay in the 11th house. So let's see what it does. It comes up, it will sextile Mercury. It goes up to the Sun's at 28 degrees. It's at 29. Mercury's at 29 degrees. So it's in the sextile, which is a good thing. It's 11th house to the Sun in the first, but it's going to move up and hit the Mercury, which is not bad. So it hit the conjuncted the Mercury in 1970. Started to think for himself a lot more. That's more independent. And it moved into Virgo in 72. another big shift in the way, like this is Pluto. The confrontation in the 11th house, friends, enemies, fear, where do I belong, where do I fit in? He's got Uranus and Pluto, he's got the freedom and the confrontation. Where does he fit in? He's not under normal, not conservative friends. There's sort of excitement and confrontation. It's different, it's radical, it's a bit more rebellious. But the Pluto, we're looking at Uranus, went into Virgo in 72, and forward, and then it went retrograde in 2009. No, it went retrograde in 2005. So it's gone up to, it went 0 degrees Virgo. So it went into Virgo, stayed in that first degree of Virgo, and then retrograded back. So it's going to hit the Mercury again. The sextile, not bad again, but it hits the Mercury in 2043. Sextile to Mercury. It will come back to conjunct its own place if he lives long enough. 61, that's 39 and 52. He's going to have to be, if he gets into his 90s, he'll get the Uranus conjunct Uranus. That would really be the second childhood. But he gets even the sextile Mercury. This is not necessarily bad things come back to the Mercury. So his independent thinking and having a good relationship to that is steadily there in his chart. That's there with his Sun Mercury conjunct, sextile Uranus. It's not. It's just that it squares the Jupiter and the Saturn in his chart that these difficulties come from. But the Uranus comes up and it backs up. It doesn't quite, gets close to this. But it's still just a 150 degrees, so it's not really coming in to hit these other degrees. So these are the kinds of things you're seeing from the progression of his Uranus. And now we get the Neptune. Look at the chart and see the Neptune, 10 degrees, Mars is at 13. And Neptune's going direct, so does it reach it? Not likely. 10 goes forward, and Neptune's not really afflicting anything. It's making good aspects, only afflicting the Mars that it's coming closer to. So it keeps going degree by degree. Right now it's at 12 degrees 37, 1237, getting within a degree of that Mars. It's not going to get up to hit the Mars. His Mars is at 1355. If he lives 100 years, he gets to 1326. If you just think, if he gets to 2033, it gets within a degree of that. It goes into the 13 degrees something. So that's how you'd see it. Okay. So really, you're working on something, you're working with the transits, you're seeing the natal charts. What's going to happen? Why is this hanging? Why is this working? Usually then you've got to say, oh my goodness, then I better check the progressions. And sometimes say, oh, that's hanging in because of this. Or sometimes it'll give you feedback that way. Okay, so we're looking at the Pluto. Here's Pluto, Virgo, 11th house, no bad aspects. Okay, it's moving forward. It's going to hit anything. It doesn't look like it's going to hit anything, so it's just going to go straight forward. Oh no, it goes straight forward, and then it will go retrograde. Okay, so it's going straight. It's going to stay within that degree. Goes into 10 degrees, 7 minutes, then backs up. So it stays in that. It goes in that 10th degree, 1990, and backs up in 2035. Goes back into the same degree it was in, and that's where it is for his lifetime. Just moves that 1 degree and 1 degree back.